SquareBody, baby. Bro, this right here, this is the absolute cleanest SquareBody C10 that I have ever seen. Now, I've been to a bunch of car shows and I've seen show trucks and they're not even as clean as what this truck is now. There is still a lot to do on this truck. I'm going to be tearing it down a whole lot. The wheels are gonna go. We're gonna put it down, we're gonna get it right. We are going to be making a truck that already looks really good look even better. And this is what we're going to be working on for the next few weeks. Shouldn't take long, and it's gonna be good.
We got a 1958 Ford truck body swapped onto a 2000 Lincoln Town Car. I'm talking fuel injected V8, ice cold AC, air suspension, the Slam Box B slamming. Click the link down below for your chance to win this thing. Limited spots still available. Get it now.
Hey, so what is up and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me yet again on another video. So with this truck, if I had to find a problem, because it is such a clean, such a good truck, is I think that it has an altitude problem. We need to get it down nice and low, and the best way to do that is to put it on a modern air ride system. Now with a truck like this, with the leaf springs in the back, I'm just going to be ditching that. We are going to be four-linking the rear. We are also going to be step notching the frame, doing all that stuff. We have a lot of welding to do, a lot of fabricating, and I cannot wait to dig into this truck. So let's just go ahead, man, and let's just go ahead and get started. I think the first order of business is do what we gotta do to get this bed ripped off, and then I can start to look at the frame, start to map out where my step notches are going to be, start to figure out my four-link setup. We have the panhard bar that needs to be figured out, a lot of figuring out, and I'm not gonna do any of it by sitting here talking to you. Let's get into it, man. So with this truck and a lot of other old trucks, one of the mindset that you have to have while you're working on something like this is a lot of the stuff is old. This is a 1987, it's not as old as some of the 60s stuff, but nevertheless that's a lot of time for bolts and whatnot to get rusty. So speaking of rusty bolts, every single one of those carriage bolts in the bed was completely seized. I got a little bit of torque on the bottom of one of them, it started spinning on the top. The top is supposed to be a nice square hole. By the time it spun out, it turned it into a circle, so I thought the path of least resistance is going to be just to cut them off. So I ended up cutting off the top of the head of every single carriage bolt just so that way they can drop through. I can grind down the bed a little bit and do a little bit of metal work if I needed to. Well, that was my mindset anyways. Turns out I got it out nice and clean. A flap disc will just clean it up. So now it is time for me to rip off the bed. And with it being just me here, that's a little bit of a problem. Now I figured I could rig it up and put it on my gantry crane, but by the time I lift it with just one lift point, I'm worried that it's gonna go everywhere, and I don't want anything to happen. So I was actually on the phone with one of my good friends that I used to work for cutting concrete over at Big D Concrete Cutting, and they just happened to be doing a job over here, so I convinced them to come over here and give me a hand. I used to work with them and be with them day in and day out, so it's going to be cool to see them. And also, if you are in the Central Florida area and need any concrete cutting, hit them up, look them up, Big D Concrete Cutting. What you think, man? That was heavy or no? Light?
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. Heavy.
If people want their concrete cut, where do they go?
Big D Concrete Cutting.
Right there. Thank you, bro. Thanks, Travis. Alright, so full transparency over here. When I started making this video and I was getting into this series, I was thinking, let me give you a full background, like a full scope of the entire job and the entire process and everything that I'm going to be doing with this truck. But in reality, I didn't do that good of a job explaining what all is going on. But then I thought to myself, made it. But then I thought to myself, why am I going to explain it to you twice? There's no reason for me to explain to you what I'm doing, then for you to watch what I'm doing, then for me to talk about it even more. So we just got the truck backed in here, and I'm just going to start ripping some of this stuff out. Shocks for sale. frame right now, everything that had anything to do with the leaf springs, that's gone 100%. I'm starting to clean up the frame. It is starting to look really good. Now where I'm going to be putting my plates that I got for my 4-link kit, now this kit, man, really nice stuff. So this kind of locates everything. We have this plate right here, and these holes, these 4 holes right here, correspond with the holes that are in the chassis from the actual leaf spring bracket. Now removing those old brackets would have been so much easier if it would have just been bolted on, but they are actually machine riveted on there, and it's really hard to get off. Just got to spend a little bit of time with the grinder, kind of working on it. And one other thing that I always like to do, if I have the fuel cell, gas tank, whatever you want to call it right here, I like to just spray it down with some water, get it nice and wet with a rag on top of it. Now if it's sealed, hypothetically a spark should never cause an explosion, but I'm not willing to bet everything I got on it, so I just like to do that. So the next thing that I want to do, I want to go ahead and get my axle stripped down so that way we have something nice and clean to start off with, like a fresh base. So now that we got the axle stripped, cleaned down, fresh metal everywhere that it needs to be fresh metal, I want to actually start to get into assembling and putting together my 4-link. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble it on the table here, so that way I can have a good idea of where everything is going to go to just make the process a lot easier. So we got my press right here. You know how it goes. Putting in the bushings. I'm gonna stick this one in there. And as I'm assembling this is going to affect where the rear axle sits, so it's really important that I make sure I know that that is in the correct spot. This is kind of like a dry fit, to be honest, because we'll be taking all of this stuff apart again for paint. But with a rough assembly, that looks pretty good. So that goes there. This is our front piece right here. This one is going to weld to a plate. That plate is going to be located on the frame in the exact same spot that those leaf spring mounts were. So I'll show you that when we get there. So that goes like this. This goes like that. And these links themselves are actually equal length, so this doesn't matter where they go. And bro, right now, 68 degrees in the shop. Could not ask for a more beautiful way to start the week over here. And this bracket right here, this is for the back side. All right, so now that this is assembled, you can kind of see it starting to take shape. And as I'm looking at it, I realized I put this bracket on the wrong way. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix that, and then we are going to address the plate that this is going to weld to, and then we will get this thing tacked on, man. This 4-link kit, super nice stuff. Man, that HTP 220 Pro Pulse welder is absolutely killing it. What a phenomenal welder, dude. It always does such a good job on everything that I'm doing. But dude, my eyes are killing me. I think I gotta change my mask. Dude, so putting a project together like this is so much fun just because you can see what piece you want to do. Like, let's say I want to throw the bags on here. I want to see what it's going to do. I want to see how it's going to behave, but I can't do that until the frame's cut out of there. I can't cut the frame out until I put in the step notches. So that's obviously the next thing that I have to do. If I want to see the satisfaction of the suspension dancing, I need to go ahead and notch it out. And before I can do that, I need to make sure the axle is centered left and right, but that is going to happen with the panhard bar. So we'll get into the panhard bar when we get there. The next thing is going to be to weld in these notches. I need to weld them in and then cut out the old frame, and then I have a nice plate to slide underneath to finish everything out. And the reason why you do it like this is so that way you never have the rear frame section just floating. So it's going to be held together with both frames there. Then I'm going to cut out the old frame when the new frame is tacked on and then finish it out. Bro, so what do you think of that? 100% officially converted from leaf springs to a modern 4-link style. We got the panhard bar dialed in. That's supposed to be level at ride height so that way it can come up a little bit, go down a little bit. And the way that I wanted to figure out whereabouts the ride height is going to be, so I know this is aired out. I know how much travel I have in my bag, so I wanted to put it somewhere in the middle. Obviously, ride height is never going to exceed the bags. And another thing that's really cool with the bags being dual eyelet style, they're almost like a coilover, and we have an adjustable mounting point for the coilover, which is going to be the bag. So we have a really versatile setup where we can change the height if we want to go 2, 3, 4 inches higher to start with. Now, with how high the tires are up, they're about 8.5 inches off the ground. The gas tank right now is about 7 inches off the ground. So I know stuff is going to start bottoming out first. We are probably going to get a new gas tank. We know we are about as low as we can get before we have to do extreme modifications, and we're not going for extreme modifications. So in the end, we just want a nice, clean, relatively laid out truck so that way it can be really nice. Dude, it's gonna drive so good with this 4-link setup. What I have to do coming up, I'm going to finish plating out all of this, everything down here. I need to plate the bottom. I want to plate inside the frame. I just got some thicker metal laying around that I will use to do that, but ultimately I wanted to check and make sure we can see how it's working. And dude, it came down a little uneven because this tire's real heavy on there, but that's obviously not gonna happen by the time we get our shocks on there. So let me know what you think about everything down below. Do not forget to enter into the giveaway. I'm going to be calling that off very soon, and then we are going to have a winner and on to the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Like this video, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff. You know what it is, YouTube. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.